Hello and welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Robert Tan. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey. Today on Follow the Money, we take a closer look at the key outcomes of the recent ASEAN Summit, focusing on trade agreements, supply chain strength, and digital transformation. And with us is one of the country's top experts on ASEAN trade, Dr. Francis Quimba, Senior Research Fellow at the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. Good afternoon, Dr. Quimba. Welcome to Follow the Money.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Okay. To start us off, Dr. Quimba, now, during the recently concluded ASEAN Summit, the ASEAN members agreed not to retaliate against Trump's sweeping tariffs. Now, do you agree with this decision?
Yes. Because in a way we have to respect what we can do as a group, as ASEAN. So the 10 member states together has a larger power to bargain as a group. So and the ASEAN decision not to retaliate also represents a strategic and sound approach. And it's also based on multiple factors. Mm-hmm. It also tells us that our country it has bought time to be able to retaliate negotiate bilaterally with the U.S. Cambodia and Vietnam has already taken steps to do this, and it seems that for the Philippines we are also starting to do this as well. So we are also going to leverage our strengths in order to be able to compete and utilize this as an opportunity for our exporters to the U.S. market and also to other
Now, with this in mind, do you think there's an opportunity now for greater trade relations with our neighbors, more strengthened partnerships?
Yes, of course. Because with the if we're going to look at the models, the trade models, excluding yourself from partnerships like what the U.S. did through an increase in tariff would force the other members by in a way forming a group, So and this group, this new group or this group without the U.S. or with the U.S. trying to exclude itself, has now more opportunities for the country. And so we need to cooperate with our partners in ASEAN. So they have been our largest, as a group, the entire ASEAN as a group has been one of our largest exporters and importers, trade partners. So we need to utilize that capabilities, that capacity, and partner with them. But also at the same time, we need to remember that they are also in a way our competitors in other markets. What we produce are also similar to what other ASEAN nations can produce. So this is actually a good time to not just to compete and also to cooperate with our partners in the region.
Now, on a different topic, but still on the ASEAN Summit, we saw that it was also joined by Gulf states and China. Now, do you think this will trigger a hostile response from the Trump administration?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But I think it should trigger a response. It should be, well, I'm not sure if it's going to be hostile, but at the very least, it should be a calculated response by the U.S. Because as we have seen, what is happening now is that the U.S. is trying to step away from the international partnerships that has been established in the region, such as APEC or ASEAN, the ASEAN Summit, and also other fora in the region. And by stepping away, they have actually allowed other nations, other powerful nations, to take a handle of the narrative, to take control of the narrative. And try to take the lead. And if the US wants to seize the value in ASEAN as a region and in all of us as partner countries, they need to be able to find a way to enter again the partnerships, to have better engagements, and to take control of the narrative. Because otherwise, we would be um, looking for stronger partners, stronger leaders who would be able to address the needs of the region.
Now, as discussions still continue after the ASEAN Summit, now, what do you think the role of the ASEAN, what can it play in, what can it do in terms of trying to stabilize the global trade amid the ongoing US-China tensions?
Well, what we can do is we can offer, first, we can offer the region as a new set of supplier to what markets has been denied in the US. No? So with the US imposing very high tariffs to China, then what we can do is we can offer the region as a new supplier to the US of products that are now relatively more expensive.
Now, with those opportunities in mind in terms of strengthening trade relations with our neighbors, now, back here locally in our local economy, now, how do you assess now the current state of the Philippine economy under the Marcos administration, particularly in terms of growth, in terms of inflation and employment here in our country?
In terms of assessment, I think we're doing quite well. I think we're within our targets, but of course that's conditional on a number of factors, because as we all know, we are in this region that's very prone to disasters, prone to environmental, economic, and even as we've seen now, geopolitical shocks. So while we are enjoying some form of stability and growth, we shouldn't rest on our laurels. We need to find a way to capitalize, maximize the opportunities. So, as a relatively new study that came out from PIDS has identified that the Philippines would be benefiting from the Trump tariffs. So, this is actually an avenue for us. But let's remember that while we are identified to have some opportunities during this time of with the Trump tariffs, we need to be able to maximize because other countries are moving also at the same time. So we need to be quicker, more agile in terms of our policy and in terms of how we would change our policy when there's a shock like this.
Now, do you think the ASEAN's unified trade stance now can strengthen its position in international negotiations, especially when dealing with economic powers like the US and China? Now, how does this help also the Philippines?
Could you ask that again? How would this help the Philippines, the unified stance?
Yes, the unified stance of the ASEAN in terms of their stance on the tariffs by the US and also their stance with China in terms of trade. Now, how does this help now the ASEAN bloc and also the Philippines in terms of growing our economy and increasing our negotiations?
Yeah, I think what's important now is that because of the unified stance, we know there's stability in terms of the policy in the region. So we know that our trade, our imports coming from Thailand or coming from our partners wouldn't be more expensive, or our exports to Thailand wouldn't suffer from additional tariffs. So what we know is that the rules in the region are still going to be implemented. Our trade is going to be rules-based. And I think that's really the most important thing that we need to ensure. So we will follow the rules, and we expect that our neighbors and our partners are also going to follow the rules when it comes to trade. And given this, so we need to be, so knowing that the rules are going to be followed, we know that we can maximize our trade with our neighbors by ensuring also that domestically we are able to support our MSMEs, our exporters, and our producers. No? So we make sure that the trade, the flow of the goods are going to be smoother. Then the second part of that strategy is we make sure that our producers, our MSMEs, our suppliers are also able to meet the demand of our partners.
Now,
Then,
yes.
second
Okay, go
would
ahead.
be for our consumers. No? So we are going to enjoy flow of goods from other countries. No? So we need to make sure that because we are actually partly our the cost of goods are lower because there are actually a variety of goods available to our consumers through
So you
import.
really see that with the strengthening trade partnership of the Philippines with our neighbors, do you see prices of goods going down?
In a way, yes. Oh, yeah, because there's a lot more goods for us consumers to choose from, and isn't that a good opportunity for us? So if you try to go to the supermarket, if you try to go, you would realize that a number of products are actually there are options. No? So there are options actually for us to purchase, and these are in a way helping us manage our finances, manage our consumption, and in a way allow us to use our money on more productive items, more productive opportunities and activities.
Okay, Dr. Quimba, just hold that thought. We'll get back to you on that. We're just getting started on this discussion on the Philippine economy and the ASEAN and the unified efforts. Now, but follow the money. We'll return after a short break. Welcome back to Follow the Money. We are still with Philippine Institute for Development Studies Senior Research Fellow, Dr. Francis Quimba. Now, welcome back, Dr. Quimba. Now, we were discussing about strengthening trade partnerships and competition with our neighbors. Now, I just want to go through this. Looking forward, when you said that we are now strengthening the trade relationships with our partners, but we are also competitors. Now, how do we strike a balance here in terms of trying to get goods into the Philippines, imports and exports, and trying to lower the prices down for the consumers?
I think let me just address first that question. How do we strike the balance since we're both competitors and
Yes.
we cooperate within the region? No? So I think the best thing to do for this is we try to position ourselves very well in the value chain that all of our partner countries are participating in. For example, the automotive value chain is very strong in Thailand, and also Indonesia is producing also a lot of automotive parts. So we also need to make sure that we are also contributing a lot into this value chain, and there's a lot of room for us to be able to produce a number of and expand the products that we can contribute into the automotive manufacturing space. And we can also do that in terms of electronics and semiconductors and all these things. So that's the avenue for us to cooperate, but also compete at the same time, is to really position ourselves correctly in this value chain to attract the right investors in order for us to expand the products that we can produce in order to position ourselves very high into this value.
Now, as we strengthen partnerships now locally, now what do you think? What are your thoughts now on the administration's economic policies, such as infrastructure development, tax reform? Are they effective now in stimulating growth and, of course, reducing poverty, as well as trying to lower the cost of the goods coming in?
Yeah, I think infrastructure is very important now. And when we say infrastructure, I don't just mean the physical infrastructure, like the ports and roads and bridges, but also the digital infrastructure is also something that's very important. That we need to ensure that everyone has a stable, has a really good connection in terms of the internet, in terms of the information data system, and because we don't want provinces or municipalities that would be left behind because of our because of the limitations in infrastructure. But the thing is, these investments, even the tax reform, they would take time to really address the issues of poverty. And so I think we would need to have uh, a very short-term policy, but also at the same time, we really need to invest a lot in this, in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and in ensuring that what we are doing now in terms of infrastructure development, physical and digital, and also the tax reform are really contributing or will contribute to in once these have already been completed to poverty alleviation. More than that, no. So I think that what the government is doing in terms of the 4Ps, because this is actually a long-term a program that would help really move people out of poverty. You know? So because this is conditional on the completion of a number of of conditions, you know, of a number of things that you need in order for you to be able to get the cash. So this is actually a long-term program that would help in poverty alleviation. But again, it has to be targeted. No, really good targeting system so that the leakage will not. There's very little leakage. No? So we need to invest in our target.
Now, do you think moving forward that we're heading on the right direction in terms of the economic programs being implemented by the administration right now? What are your insights and opinions on that?
I think in terms of let me just look at what the sector that I am looking at in the PIDS right now. No? So in terms of trade, MSME development, and innovation, science and innovation, I think what the current administration is doing now is a really good strategy because it looks at trade as an instrument for industry development. So we want to use trade as a means of not just of exploring new markets and incentivizing our domestic producers in order to energize them, to give them incentives to explore other markets in the region. So I think that's a good way. You know? So and we're also looking at other possible exporters. You know? So that Pinoy law or program is actually something that the administration just passed this very recently, and I think that has a lot of potential in helping our MSMEs look for new markets and maximize their brand as a Filipino brand, and providing them with also the support services that they would need in order to explore these markets.
Now, you're mentioning support services. Now, do you think the MSMEs right now are being given substantial support in terms of letting them grow? There are a lot of MSMEs, and sometimes they're being affected by a lot of the imports that are coming in terms of competition.
Yeah, and I do understand that there's going to be competition, no? Of course, because we are an open economy and the products will really flow. And I do understand that the MSMEs will face competition, and I think there's really room for government support for MSMEs to face the competition from the influx of products. Because of course, as you mentioned, no, we want to balance both the welfare of the consumers who would need to have access to cheaper products or products that are imported from other countries that would also help the the consumers, but also at the same time, we want to ensure that our producers are also given the opportunity to explore other markets. So that is why I really appreciate what the Department of Trade and Industry is doing in terms of looking for other markets. You know, through the trade agreements that they are trying to pursue with through ASEAN also with other countries, so that like the ASEAN Canada free trade agreement. You know, so but we also uh, yeah. So the support. No? So talking about the support to the to the MSMEs.
Well, there
You know,
is the
we want,
DTI, yes, of course,
yeah,
helping
of
out.
course. They're doing a lot, no. But what we want is also to really make it targeted, and also really give them the incentive with with a longer time frame. No? So if they are enjoying some of these incentives for exploring new markets and for taking some of these risks, we try to let them just stay a little bit longer, because sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes these investments, especially on innovation, these are long gestating investments, maybe medium term or not in the very short run for sure. So we want to let these businesses take on, let it run its course, you know, so that we can really see if they are able to take on the risk, if they are going to be able to grow in terms of their output and their employment, in terms of their size, you know, so that we can see their potential.
Well, we do see there's a lot of support in terms of helping the MSMEs. I've seen that as how the Department of Trade and Industry has been helping a lot of the small enterprise, but a lot of sectors do need help. But I just want to get your insights on what do you think now, looking at all these obstacles that we have to go through in terms of spurring the economy. What are the most pressing economic challenges now that we are facing that the Philippines should focus on and the government should address right now?
Well, I think everything's really pressing. If we're going to be,
If you were to focus on just, let's say, a big picture that will, if you focus on that, that will actually help a lot of industries.
I think it's really global supply chains. You know, because making sure that we are in part of these global supply chains ensures that our domestic producers would have the market and would have the opportunity to produce for a bigger market, for the a bigger economy. And also at the same time, that would enhance their opportunities to hire more and also expand the products that they are producing. So yeah, supporting the global supply chains. But supply chains are also evolving in recent years. No, so what we have seen is that the just-in-time is no longer the right or the mentality. So what the businesses are doing is that they are trying to increase their inventory a little bit in case there are some shocks, no, economic or global or shocks. And I think this is what we need to be able to this is what we need to learn for the Philippines. So how do we make our supply chains, our participation in the supply chains more resilient, more agile, such that when there are changes in policy, we are able to adjust very quickly.
Finally, we don't have much time, but on a final note, what do you think the economy is going to be like in the next quarter, looking at what's been happening with the strategic partnerships happening in the region and what's happening on the international space? How do you see the economy moving forward?
Well, I think we are benefiting from, well, we just finished an election, and usually after an election, because of the high level of consumption, we're actually benefiting from the large spending that has happened. But I'm actually optimistic because a lot of the policies that we have that we want passed are, if not passed in the previous Congress are also going to be discussed, and we're trying to move forward with these policies. So I'm a little bit optimistic with that because what we have seen is that there's an appreciation by the staff in the House of Representatives of these new laws that have really high potential for the Philippines. You know?
Okay. Anyway, on that note, Dr. Quimba, thank you very much for joining us, giving us your insights on the economy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that was Dr. Francis Quimba of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. But before we go, a reminder from the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Gosi Okonjoiweala. Regional trade can be a powerful engine of growth, but only if countries are proactive in making it work for everyone. And that's it for today's edition of Follow the Money. I'm Robert San. Thanks for watching. Keep it here on DNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top.